Thanks for continuing with us. And now we were going to discuss how this place is funded, because what you're doing with all these projects and events has to cost some money. And is it out of the people's pockets or grants? Because you mentioned grants a couple times. Let's explain.
Okay, we are funded almost totally through grants and fundraisers. We have the RSVP grant, which is a grant that it is our biggest grant, and it is funded through the Corporation of National and Community Service. And with that, that's the Senior Corps, part of the Senior Corps. And that is responsible for the RSVP director and the RSVP coordinator. The coordinator does all of the recruiting for the volunteers. And because these grants are so specific, we really have to, the directors do sit behind their desks a lot, doing a lot of the paperwork to keeping up with the guidelines of the grants.
Either that, otherwise the grant's not going to be there.
No, that is
That's
true.
That's right. You got to follow those very strict guidelines and rules.
Yes.
But without doing it, you wouldn't have the money and you wouldn't be in existence. So you got to give credit to everybody that's doing all that paperwork.
And we do have some funding through the United Way, through the RSVP. It's a local match that the United Way does, and the United Way also funds the Youth Volunteer Corps.
Okay.
Through a small grant. So the Youth Volunteer Corps are able to have somebody on, I believe, 10 or 12 hours a week to help with that, because there's a lot of keeping track of hours. I like to call this agency kind of the hub for keeping track of volunteer hours here in this community. I know everybody does it here and there, but we actually do keep track.
You take the count, because a lot of volunteers out there make things happen, but it's kind of like, you need help, I'll help you, and they move on. But this is an organization that does keep track and, of course, does get the money to help. So we can see the benefits of the volunteers in local communities, and, of course, this money coming in from grants only helps our community, too.
Yes, it does. And with the Homeland Security, we have Citizens Corps funding from the state of Michigan. It's passed through from FEMA. And we also have it through Homeland Security, which is called the Governing Board, which is Region 6. It's a part of 13 counties. And money is divvied up for the Citizens Corps to have certain programs and initiatives followed through them to meet FEMA guidelines and state guidelines and local guidelines. You have to kind of meld it all together and make sure that they match. We also have what's called ASPR funding, and ASPR is part of a hospital funding, and that's federal as well. And that we get a small amount through the Healthcare Coalition from Region 6. Again, a 13-county regional perspective, and each Medical Reserve Corps gets a small portion for recruitment and sustainment of volunteers.
Well, you're talking this number of counties. Do each one have their own local organization like we are here in Muskegon, or do you cover more than Muskegon County area?
I cover more than Muskegon. I cover Muskegon and Oceana County.
Oh, okay.
We have also started in the last couple of years the Oceana County Medical Reserve Corps as well.
All right.
And that is just getting off the ground, and we're really starting to do some training and education up there with them as well. So per county, if they have a Medical Reserve Corps, they get funding through this ASPR program. Region 6 has the highest amount of Medical Reserve Corps in the state of Michigan.
Really?
Yes.
So we're blessed.
We're very blessed.
Very good.
And we all try to work together. Matter of fact, on May 18th, I believe, and I think that's the date that we're having a regional disaster drill over in Montcalm County, where we're actually going to set up an alternative care site for in practice setting up this mobile hospital type unit for it's a burn surge.
Now, when you do something like that, how does everybody travel? I mean, you're moving quite a few people over there in order to get this project done. So what's the cost to the organization?
There's a cost. Sometimes we build in, a lot of times in these grants, we build in if it's 50 miles or over, we do allow mileage.
I was going to say, because this can be a burden to a lot of people if you go too far for this. But it's a necessary training to benefit our neighborhoods.
Yes, that is correct. And then we also have the NACCHO. That's the National Association of County and City Health Officials that funds the Medical Reserve Corps, too, for salaries.
You need a full-time person just to keep track of all these positions or grants where this money is available from.
I'm it.
That's it. Okay. That's why you got all these acronyms so well.
Yes.
And then that's confusing in itself, because I think you mentioned almost about 8 to 10 of them already, different sources. And if one can't materialize, you've got to go after another, because we got to keep this organization doing what it can do best for our West Michigan area.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. We all feel that way about that.
Excellent.
So, and I hope that what we're doing is of great importance to a lot of people.
You know, I believe it is, but a lot of people don't understand it because they don't know it exists, because they just take it for granted.
Yes.
What you guys are doing out there. It's just special when I hear it and what we're talking about today. It's something this always happens, but it doesn't happen without the Volunteer Muskegon Center being behind it.
And also, too, right now we are doing some disaster drills up in North Muskegon, in your neck of the woods. We've held 2 already. Our volunteers are playing victims for what's called the Northside Training Unit, which includes, and I apologize if I missed somebody, North Muskegon, Muskegon Township, Dalton, Holton, Blue Lake, Montague, and Whitehall, and ProMed. And what they are doing right now is they're practicing a bus accident on the river flats. Because right now there's a big concern that if a bus accident should happen where people go into the water or wherever they should go, and it's in the cold, they only have a certain amount of time to triage those people and get them out of there before they die.
Well, we all know there's been plenty of individual car accidents in the River Flats area, so this is great coming up with something like that, because the potential is always there.
It is, and right now we're using the scenario of a casino bus, because casino buses run back and forth to Little River constantly. And
every 5 minutes, it seems.
Yeah. So what we are doing is Amy, who is a coordinator for Citizens Corps, Amy and myself are out there moulaging, which is putting all the good gory makeup on people and matching kind of the what the injuries are. And then while we're doing that, the fire and EMS personnel are in a training for about an hour on how to triage in a mass casualty situation, and not trying and knowing that this is not the run-of-the-mill triage. This is something that you've got to get them out of there, you've got to get them up and get them safe. So they've also have a bus that is from Matt's bus. It's a brand new Matt's bus that sets down there, and it's at the bus is located when they stage it at the Bear Lake, at the launch ramp, I think you call it.
Bear Lake Park, right down by on Bear Lake itself?
On Fleming, yes, at the end.
Okay.
I couldn't really remember the name, sorry.
That's my neighborhood, I better remember.
So anyway, The fire department then moves the victims from the fire station down and puts them on the bus and stages them on the bus. And then once the fire department and personnel and EMS personnel are released, the victims, volunteers, start acting out what's going on with them.
Their injuries.
Their injuries.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, I've seen an awful lot of activity in North Muskegon lately at the fire barn and some of the activity of the other equipment over there. So I figured now I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for it because it can only benefit everybody.
Yes, and we're doing another one next Wednesday night on the 15th. And then we are going to do one on the 22nd and one on the 25th during the day. So if anybody wants to be a part of it, they can contact myself, which is Rana, at 231-722-6600. My extension is 14, or you can contact Amy Wilson, and her number is 722-6600. Her extension is 13. So we'd love to have you if you love to get made up. This is a very, very valuable tool for the community.
And these happen throughout the year, too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break because I think we have somebody else we're going to invite over here.
Yes.
And get some more information. Take the load off our shoulders for a little bit.
Yeah, that is true.
And put the pressure on her, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. West Michigan, we'll be right back.